welcome to 7.4. Today we're going to be classifying quadrilaterals. So if you look at quad and think 4, you are spot on. And if you think lateral, meaning something to the side, it means sides. So you have 4 sides, right? So any quadrilateral that we look at is always going to have 4 sides. Another really cool thing about it is that the sum of the angles is always going to be 360 degrees. So today we're going to look at lots of different quadrilaterals. Now a quadrilateral could just be any old shape with, wonky sides like that. It just has to have 4 sides. But we're going to look at some special ones today. So the first one we're going to look at is a parallelogram. And there's some special markings that you're going to see on a parallelogram. You're going to see markings like this, 2 markings there to show that that side is equal to that side. You're also going to see 1 on each side there. And so if you just see 1 mark, it means that side is equal to that side in length. When you see little arrows here like this, it means that that side is parallel to that side. And that's the very definition of a parallelogram, is that it has 2 sets of parallel sides and 2 sets of equal length sides. So they're really cool, and you are going to learn how to solve some great equations with those. A trapezoid looks like, I always think about like if this were to open up, you could trap something, right? That's your trapezoid. So you have 2 parallel lines. That's what that is showing. And on a trapezoid, there's just 1 pair of parallel sides. Sometimes these are the same length, sometimes they're not, but it's not a given, okay? Now, as we look at parallelograms, we're going to see they can look 4 different ways. And in this circle here, we have these 4 different parallelograms. A rectangle is technically a parallelogram, right? Because it has 2 sets of parallel sides, 2 sets of equal length sides. But the cool thing about rectangles is that it also has 4 equal 90-degree angles. Same thing with a square. Square is the same thing as a rectangle, only it's a special kind of rectangle because all the sides are equal length. You may have learned that in kindergarten, not rocket science, but I just want you to see, hey, a square is actually a parallelogram too. A square is actually a rectangle too. Now, rhombus just looks like a square that somebody sat on, and you are going to notice that we have parallel sides, right? 2 sets of parallel sides. That's what defines it as a parallelogram. And in a rhombus, the side lengths are all the same. So this length, this length, this length, and this length are all the same. So same length sides, different. Okay? Now a kite is unique in that this side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side. And again, for all of these figures, the sum of the interior angles all add up to 360. So on your own, I'd like you to look at these 3 figures and think about how you would classify each of those quadrilaterals. You're going to think about, are there parallel sides? Are the side lengths the same? And if you need to go back to the original image in your book, you can do that and be reminded. Okay, so pause. You should have an answer for each of these. Okay. This one, it's a rhombus, a trapezoid, and a rectangle. Good job. Now, if you have any quadrilateral, the thing to know is that the sum of the interior angles, which would be like this, 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 and this, the sum of the interior angles is always equal to 360 degrees. So if you have a situation where they have told you 3 of the angle measures, you can find the other ones. So let's imagine you have a, this looks like about a 115, maybe that's a 70, maybe that's 75, and x. What you are going to do is you are going to add all these up. So you're going to say 70 plus 75 plus 115 plus x equals 360. Okay? Now, you know that we can simplify this. So if we say 145 plus 115, that's going to be 260 equals. So if we have 260 plus x equals 360, we know we can subtract 260 from both sides and find that x equals 100. And when we put that in there, that checks out. Okay, so that is how to find an angle in a quadrilateral if you already know 3 of them. That will be on your homework. So the main goal today is to be able to classify quadrilaterals based on their shape, number of congruent sides, and parallel sides. Please make sure you use the diagram in Canvas or on page 294 in your book. You will notice that some of them overlap, right? So on like 18 through 23, you'll notice you have to answer always, sometimes, or never. Is a square always, sometimes, or never a rectangle? You'll have to think about that. Is a rhombus always, sometimes, or never a square? Could it be both a rhombus and a square? You're going to have to think about these deeply. And so I want you to do your best. Make sure to think critically, solve these angle measures when you need to, and think deeply about the types of shapes you are using and how knowing their angle measures can help you. The final example we are going to go through is this situation where you have a parallelogram with it says with a 45-degree angle. So this one would be 45, and this angle would be 135. Okay, so you have to draw a quadrilateral that meets those, and you'd know that this would be 135 and this would be 45 because they're the same. Now you can't just guess, you're going to have to get out your protractor, right? And you're going to have to say, okay, line this up along the bottom. My vertex goes right there in that hole. And if I were to follow this line out, it should go right out here to 45. So this one was not drawn correctly. And you'd have to redraw it to look like that. And then you could erase that part. And do the same thing over on the other side. So get used to having that protractor out. If you don't have a protractor, print one out online. You can print it out and then just use it and draw your dots out beyond it. So good luck with this. You guys can do this. Have fun with quadrilaterals and finding unknown measures.